Here's your daily news roundup from 97.9 WGBW.
From the 97.9 WGBW newsroom, I'm Connie Fellman with this local news update. A 74-year-old man was killed Saturday afternoon in a motorcycle crash in Marinette County. Marinette County Sheriff's deputies say Gary Yagi was riding his motorcycle on Highway Z in the town of Beecher when he went into a ditch and hit a tree. Yagi was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities say he was not wearing a helmet. Green Bay's Joannes Park was bustling with activity on Saturday as the African American Resource Center got a jump start on Juneteenth. The federal holiday is officially this Friday, but for the 7th year in a row, the center hosted the city's celebration the Saturday before. Organizers say the weekend date makes it easier for families, neighbors, and businesses to come together to honor history, but also to celebrate the present and the future. Juneteenth commemorates the day Union troops marched into Galveston, Texas, on June 19, 1865, announcing Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation to the enslaved population. You could hear him coming from miles away yesterday as hundreds of motorcyclists revved up their support for cancer. The 23rd annual Jerry Perrin's Cruise for Cancer took place in Green Bay yesterday. The massive annual motorcycle ride and tailgate party brings bikers, families, and those who just want to come along for the ride together every year to raise money for cancer patients. Former Packers security director Jerry Perrins started the Cruise for Cancer after surviving his own battle with the disease. Since it began in 2003, the Cruise for Cancer has raised nearly $3 million to support local families and cancer organizations throughout Northeast Wisconsin. A 16-year-old girl is dead and several others hospitalized after a suspected drunk driving crash over the weekend. Fond du Lac Sheriff's deputies say they arrested the driver, another 16-year-old girl, at the hospital and took her to jail on suspicion of homicide by intoxicated use of a motor vehicle. Authorities say the teens were driving on Highway HH in the town of Calumet when they missed a curve and crashed into a culvert and utility pole before their SUV rolled over. A 16-year-old girl was pronounced dead at the scene. The preliminary investigation shows impairment appears to be a factor in the crash. Fond du Lac fire and rescue workers say ashes from a campfire started a fire overnight at a home on Old Pioneer Road. Firefighters say the blaze started just after 2 a.m. Sunday morning with smoke and flames coming from the garage. 2 people were inside the home. Rescue workers took one to the hospital as a precaution. Authorities say improperly discarded ashes from a campfire started the fire. Thousands came out to celebrate Pride Month, bigger, bolder, and braver in Appleton on Saturday. That was the theme of this year's Fox Valley Pride Festival in Jones Park. The annual event brings the LGBTQ+ community together to celebrate their culture and welcome those who support their community. Organizers say this year's event lived up to its theme with the biggest turnout in event history. More than 6,000 people attended the festival. With news at the top and bottom of the hour all day and on demand anytime at WGBW.FM, I'm Connie Fellman, 97.9 WGBW News. For Civic Media News, I'm Connie Fellman. A weekend straw poll at the Wisconsin Democratic Convention shows Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez on top, but the race is far from settled. Rodriguez led the field with 164 votes, followed by State Representative Francesca Hong and then State Senator Kelda Roys. The gathering was held in Madison, where both Hong and Roys are based. Former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who has polled strongly in other settings, finished near the bottom here. About 60% of convention attendees took part in the vote. State health leaders say tick activity has reached its seasonal peak. The Department of Health Services says nymphal deer ticks are driving the increase and spread most human tick-borne illnesses, including Lyme disease. Officials say the tiny ticks are harder to detect and can stay attached longer, increasing the risk of disease transmission. Health officials encourage you to use insect repellent, wear protective clothing, and perform daily tick checks. Volunteer first responders in rural communities could soon get help buying homes under a new proposal from Congress. Senators Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin and Kevin Kramer of North Dakota introduced a bill to expand federal housing options. It would raise income limits for certain USDA loans and give volunteers access to discounted homes through a federal program. State firefighters and EMS groups are backing the plan. Baldwin says the goal is to make it easier for communities to attract and keep emergency workers. Wisconsin is rolling out a new specialty license plate tied to the Iola Car Show. The DMV says part of the cost goes towards supporting community and nonprofit groups connected to the event. Organizers say the show brings in about 120,000 visitors each year to Waupaca County and generates millions for the local economy. The plate joins dozens of other specialty options for our state. Drivers can sign up through the DMV website. A new federal proposal could impact how quickly absentee ballots move through the mail in Wisconsin. The Postal Service wants states to provide voter names and ballot barcodes before delivery, a change critics say could delay votes and create confusion. State officials warn rural ballots may have to travel farther for processing, adding time during a tight election window. Others argue the rule would improve tracking and election security. The plan is still under review, with legal challenges and a final decision expected later this summer. State agents seized beer from Minocqua Brewing Company as part of an ongoing investigation into possible violations. The Department of Revenue says agents carried out a planned inspection tied to a long-running complaint and worked with the company's legal team ahead of time. Video posted online shows officers removing cases of beer from the Minocqua tap room. Owner Kirk Bangstead claims about $25,000 worth of product was taken over a tax issue and says he plans legal action. The state has not confirmed those details and says the investigation is still active. Bangstead was told earlier in the week his submission paperwork to run for governor was insufficient. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services wants people to be on alert for ticks. The agency reported there's high activity statewide thanks to nymphal deer ticks that are known to spread more tick-borne illnesses than the adult version. The department emphasized the importance of using insect repellent and more clothing to prevent ticks attaching. As some states skip a new celebration in Washington, Wisconsin says it will take part. State officials say the pavilion at the Great American State Fair in D.C. will tell the story of Wisconsin through its agriculture, industry, and culture. The event opens June 25th and runs 16 days, but it's become more political after some performers dropped out and President Donald Trump said he would hold a rally instead. Find more news at civicmedia.us.
Will the Bucks make a move? Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports Basketball. The Knicks celebrating their championship after beating the Spurs over the weekend. Now that the NBA season is over, will the Bucks GM make a trade this week regarding the future of Giannis in Milwaukee?
If John Horst is doing his job, maybe some of these other teams actually know what's on the table for Giannis. And if that's the case, yeah, man, the offers are on the table and this thing is going to happen. I just haven't heard enough or anything really in the other way of the Bucks poking around for another star or two to keep him.
As Bucks reporter Jim Ozarski, the NBA draft coming up next week in New York. Baseball, the Brewers have the night off after beating the Phillies 4-2 Sunday. They'll open a 3-game series tomorrow night against the Cleveland Guardians at AmFam Field. Infielder Cooper Pratt being called up from Nashville. NFL, the Packers OTAs wrap up this week with the rookies in Green Bay. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
It is going to be mostly sunny today with a high right around 75 this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, will drop to 56 for a low. Tomorrow, a few scattered showers and thunderstorms with a high right around 74. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable.
That's your Green Bay News Roundup from 97.9 WGBW. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And find more news anytime at WGBW.FM.